All right, we are live. Hey, good evening, everybody. Dave Wilson of the Ring of Hire Show. Hey, I'm here again with Christian Cleveland, Deer Park, Texas. I got it right that time. That's not
You
too hard.
did. Good job.
How you doing, Christian?
I'm doing great. How are you, Dave?
Good, good. Tonight we're going to talk about employee retention, but I also want to touch bases of what Christian actually does, and we're going to talk right after this video. I tell you, I'm ready, boy. When I'm ready by the time that video comes.
I know. I'm
Well,
like, da, da, da.
I know, right? Well, let me give you a fair warning tonight. We got a lot of people on here already, and Bill, it's
Awesome.
great from Pittsburgh. He's awesome. It's been a long time. Everybody's favorite guest around the whole LinkedIn, this gentleman, Mr. Kenny D, the savor the flavor, the awesomeness, and you're sharing your delectable, scrumptiously delicious, edibly tasty, good heart thoughts. He's a
Wow.
trip. I know, right?
I
Oh,
love
you'll
it.
love it tonight. We got
I
Rob. He's up in Pittsburgh too. Rob, I don't know what happened to the Steelers, but the Jets kind of had their way. I know we have somebody else on here new too. Oh, we got Joel. Joel's back. It's been too long. He's a great recruiter too.
awesome.
So we'll have a great crew tonight. But what I wanted to talk to you about is, again, if you could just introduce Christian, what you do, and we're going to talk about it shortly about in recruiting.
Awesome. My name is Kristen Cleveland. I am out of Deer Park, Texas, and I work for Phenom. We are a holistic approach to HR technology. So we are not an ATS. I get people that ask me that all the time. Are you an ATS? We are not an ATS. We actually sit on top of your ATS. We engage it. We make it kind of come alive. I talked about, my favorite analogy to explain it is the Wizard of Oz. You know how at the beginning of the Wizard of Oz it's all in black and white, and then the house falls on the witch and everything comes alive. It's in Technicolor, basically. That's what we do for the ATS. We make it come alive. So we use AI technology to do that. So we basically go in and we're able to automate things and
I
make your
love it.
recruiters'
Wow.
lives a little bit easier, make your managers' lives a little bit easier. We even have things for your employees,
Can you
so
imagine if they actually would listen to that? I'm sorry. I
yeah,
love AI. I've talked about AI for a long time and just cutting it, taking the work off of your recruiters, right? And
yeah.
giving it to these 24-hour bots, all these other different people I call little mini recruiters, and up we got
Kenny, we have to meet, Kenny. We just have to meet. I mean, it's meant to
see,
be here.
we start talking and I bring Kenny up and he takes the source.
I
These
love
guys
it.
will talk all night long in here. But like I said, it's like, what does it take to you to be able to talk to a company and say, listen, this is what we can do for you. We're going to make your job easier. We're going to make your recruiters more productive. We're going to lower your cost because that's
Yeah,
what it does.
absolutely.
How do you convince them or educate?
Well, I mean, really, it's just about educating. It's just about having that conversation and finding out what's important to people.
Yeah.
And I really believe that most companies they want to help their recruiters. They
Right.
really do. They want to make them more efficient. They want to save their companies money. It's just about showing them, hey, this is how we're going to do that. We're going to take those. I mean, we all know, like for recruiters, I mean, 65% of your time is probably spent
Yeah.
sourcing and scheduling.
Yep.
So if you were able to take out some of that 65% and kind of free them up
Right.
to build relationships with people, and do a lot of that. We talked last time about the humanness, the
Right.
human part of the job. Those are things that you cannot automate. Phillies.
Like,
um,
sure,
yeah.
unbelievable.
So here at Phenom, we are out of Philadelphia. We definitely have some Phillies fans that
Is
work
that what
here.
that was? I was wondering, only hire folks you really want. You'll need to hire micromanagers.
Uh,
Oh, I don't
yeah.
know.
Well, I think that once that they understand that, and once they see, hey, we've been able to help Southwest Airlines, do this very thing, and they're like, oh, well, okay, well, you were able to do this and automate this and make their lives easier. And in fact, I shared with you this article that I read today, Josh Bersin, where he talks about how do we simplify
Right.
the work experience for people, and that was one of the things that he talked about, AI technology, automating
Right.
things to make people's lives simpler.
And
Um,
this gentleman, Rob, where's Rob? Rob would benefit from this. Rob's got a good job now. I'm going to pick on him. But Rob, you should listen to this. You know, AI could have made your life a lot easier, and he ran into a lot. And like you said, it's the experience. It's the
yeah,
experience for the employee. We talked about so
absolutely.
long. You were telling me when I was telling you about how when people apply for jobs on the jobs, Indeed, everywhere, you go to the websites, you actually monitor that, right? That actually monitors it, right? So then it comes back and says, hey, we noticed you didn't finish the hiring process. Explain that.
So what we do is nope, we are not too far, Kenny. So we use the technology. So when they come on to your career site,
Right.
let's say I mean, most people do not finish the apply process the very
Nope.
first time they go to
Nope.
your career site. It takes
Mm-mm.
up to 7 times for the average person to finish the apply process, which is mind blowing. But
7 times.
I
Oh my
mean,
God.
think about it. When you go to a career site, if I mean, whenever I was applying for jobs, if I went to a career site and immediately was like, you need a username and password, forget it. I'm just hopping off of that and I'm going down the road to the next, company, because I don't have time for that. I've got
I
4
would have been
kids.
hired 10
Yeah,
times over.
yeah, I mean,
When I was
I
looking
don't
for
have
work, I
time
was like,
for that.
wow,
So
it's bad.
we create a career site that is user friendly. We use I love it.
That's Rob.
um, hey, I'm here for it. I'm here for it. So we actually use that AI technology. So if somebody
Right.
goes to the career site, the chatbot pops up and it automatically starts conversing with them. So you're
Right.
having just a conversation. Hey, Kristen, where are you at? Well, I'm here in Deer Park, Texas. Okay, well, are you looking for a job? Yes, I'm looking for a job. I want to be in sales. And so it starts asking questions, conversing with you. So
Love it.
you know, even if I don't finish the apply process, let's say I start the application and I shut it down because I got to go take a kid to football practice.
Right.
Okay. I come back, I open my computer, I go back in, and they're like, "Hey, Kristen, good to see you again. I noticed that you were looking at a sales development representative
That's
job.
awesome.
Here are some suggestions." Like we even can give them suggestions. I mean, we're think about all of the things that we're automating in our lives:
Right.
Netflix, Spotify, Amazon. My favorite thing in the whole world is Amazon.
I
If
love
it doesn't
Amazon.
have it,
Sorry.
I'm
Love it.
sorry, but if Amazon does not have it, I don't need it, okay?
Yeah, right? Oh my
So,
God. Keeps us
um,
in business, so
but
keep buying, keep buying.
I mean, it even suggests things. It's like based on things that you've, done in the past, hey, this might be something that you'd want. Well, we do that for jobs. Why not do
Right.
that for jobs? Why should we not be doing that? And so it'll say, hey, here, look at this job, or hey, here, look at this job.
See,
This
now
is
I
a
know
good,
why you get those emails all the time. Now I know why you get those things. That's the inside
yeah.
scoop there.
Yep,
What they do.
absolutely. So we're doing that. And then, so all of that information, even if they don't finish the apply process, goes into the CRM.
Okay.
So the recruiters are able to go into the CRM and they can pull, like, just people who didn't finish the apply process. And they can automate campaigns out to those people and say,
Love it.
hey, we would love for you to finish, the apply process. So we're able to do that for jobs.
Love it.
And that frees up your
Time.
recruiters just in huge ways. I mean, that's a huge part of your job right there.
That is. And Jason says, sorry if that was confusing. My point was the higher attitude. And
Mhm.
Jason, we're going into this topic of retention now. Is he's right. I've hired people for attitude.
Oh, yeah,
They might not
absolutely.
have met all the qualifications, but you got to nowadays. I agree with Jason. You got to look outside the box a little bit. I hate that saying outside the box, but you could hire somebody that you thought you wouldn't hire in the past. Make
Yeah,
sense?
absolutely. And that's one of the things that we do really well also is because we fit score people. We go
Right.
in, we have an A score, a B score, and a C score. So let's say maybe they weren't a great fit for one of our jobs and you want to go back and look at your B score people and be like, hey, well, maybe these people would be a good fit for this job. Well, they're called the
Right.
silver medalists. I'm sure you've heard that term
Yep.
before, silver medalists. You can automate out to those people and be like, hey, we think you should apply for this job. So we can automate those things, make your life a whole hell of a lot
Well, I
easier.
feel like I'm a piece of software. I am because I don't stop. I told you I do what it takes to find the candidates. I don't care where they
Yeah,
are. So I use 5 or 6 different platforms, and I'm like nonstop switching it back and forth, back and forth. So what that company, what you do there is you take all that work away. You
everything under one unified
Even
solution.
the texting. I saw you were
Even
talking
the
about
texting.
even
Yeah, and what's
sold.
really cool is, like, I was talking to a lady in California, and we were talking about texting, and they have, like, a little QR code, like, in their places of business, and you could scan the QR code,
Yep.
but, like, the number that they were texting from wasn't a California number, and so it
Right.
looked weird to people, and people were like, you know
I
how
don't
you get
answer
it,
'em.
and you're like, I don't know what this number, I don't think I'm gonna do this, but we can actually go in and we can give you a number that is tied to California or whatever. So people are like, oh, okay, well, this number has
Yeah,
got area
maybe
code.
you'll answer it.
Yeah, because
All right.
otherwise people think it's spam.
See, I knew once we started talking about what you do. I love that. And we get off the subject, but our subject
Always.
is tonight, believe it or not, everybody. We're gonna hit some points here on employee retention. And Rob, this is good for you. And Kenny, I know you got some remarks on this or comments on this. Is you sent me an ad tonight, not an ad, but a post. You want to
Yeah.
explain that about this one CEO?
Well, I just thought it was so interesting. So, Josh Bersin, he had written this article, and there was a huge disparity between what the CEO thought and what the employees thought. The
Right.
CEO didn't think that the employees were doing enough. The employees feel burned out and overworked. So there's this big disparity, here. And why is that? I think that's a really interesting thing, especially as we start moving, people are still working remotely a lot and
Remote.
people want to work remotely. So I think that that's a good conversation, to have.
It is, and I told you God I feel so many different feelings towards that, and if anybody on here, Kenny, Bill, and Josh, everybody here, Jason, how you feel about people, how CEOs, companies are making people go back to the office. You see it on the news all the time. We want them back at the office, no more remote. I told you I had for 2 years worked from home, and I swear to God, I never want to do it again the rest of my freaking life. No, I like having the option. I told you because if I need to work
Yeah.
from home for a day or two, I can with my boss. So that's really great. But I worked longer hours. I did personally. And I was like, because I don't think when you work from home, some people think, they're just staying home, they're not doing anything. And I think I'm reverse. I think you work harder at home. Might take
Yeah.
some flack for that, but you work harder.
I think it's because it's harder to shut things down.
Yeah.
Like, it's so easy for me to walk by my office and be like, "Oh, I'm just gonna check this one thing."
Yep.
Or, you know, I think that's the temptation, but coming from education, from the education, background, it was the exact same thing. I was
Right.
working in a school, but I was never shutting down. And so I think it goes back to the person. You
Right.
have to figure out what's right for you. What's right for me is not going to be right for you, Dave. I mean,
Right.
everybody's so different, because I'm the personality. I'm not going to shut down. It wouldn't
Right.
matter if I was at home or if I was in a building. It doesn't matter.
Yep.
That's just my personality.
It is. And I like, again, the option, but
Mhm.
I understand that. But then there's a side of me that I understand why they
Yeah.
want people to come back in the office. And Joel says having the option is better, but being in the office is better as having real face time with the boss and employees. And Joel, what I mean by that, and that's what I was getting into, is I feel the choice is great,
Yeah.
but where I lost my train of thought there, I was going to say there is with having the option and then looking at the amount of work you do. But I understand why the CEOs, because if they're thinking that work's not getting done, there are some people I'm sure take advantage of it. Let's face it, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But I think, Mike, how do you manage it? I think that's what I wanted to say is
I
how do you do? Does everybody understand how to manage people
I
from
think
working from home?
so much of that goes back to culture, though,
Yeah,
because I mean, there are people that are going to take advantage of that
yeah,
even in the building. So I don't think that that is necessarily a work from home or a work from, an actual physical
right,
office problem. I think that is a culture problem.
right. What,
Um,
working from home or working?
No, I think
No,
that the lack of trust. I think that
okay,
that's a culture problem. I
okay,
think giving people the options is really smart,
yeah,
because I think you would lose out on good candidates that you might not get the opportunity to work with otherwise. So I think that it's a culture issue. I think that you have to build that trust. You have
right,
to, you have to trust. And I'll never forget. And this was like a million years ago. It was a lady who was my boss, um, a big company, and she said, whenever I drive by here, and the lights are on and things are going on, she was like, I'm okay with not knowing what's happening.
right.
I trust the people that I've put there to do this job,
Do the job.
and it's okay for me not to know exactly what's happening every moment of every day. And I'll never forget that conversation. So she really trusted the people that she put in place, and
That she
and
worked.
yeah, and it worked, and it was a great culture. People loved working for her. They
Makes
felt
sense.
empowered. So, I mean, I think that's going to continue to be a conversation,
It
that
is, and
we're
even
going to
when I
see.
see jobs online, when you see on LinkedIn, even like when you see remote and you see like 686 candidates
Yeah.
applied. Oh my God. I look at that and I say, how? There again, how as a recruiter, that is so difficult. Because
Oh,
then
I
when
can't.
can you imagine that?
No, I can't even imagine going through those. I'd be
No.
like, a little
But because
overwhelmed.
recruiting, I mean, all jobs have their things, but in recruiting, it's kind of not that hard to manage it because you either have candidates or you don't, or
Well,
everything, you're looking for people. And like you said, with the AI to bring it in, man, that could be a win-win.
I mean, because automatically we're taking some of that off of your plate. Even
Right.
with 686 candidates, we've gone in and we've fit scored them for you. So we've already gone in we've taken, what you wanted from the candidate to absolutely
Right.
have. We fit scored them. They're either an A, a B, or a C, and you're only interviewing, those A candidates. So we've just made your job a
Well,
million
for the
times.
first time, I told you tonight, I posted on my job that I was hiring 3 different positions, and I boosted them for the first time.
Yes.
So I wanted to see how that worked. And it's not, let's just say the first day I have to figure out something different there, because so many people from other states are applying for the Lehigh Valley. And I'm like, all right. So I'm messaging them all back today saying, are you close to the Lehigh Valley? Because this isn't remote. It doesn't say remote. You
Yeah,
have to
you're
work,
like,
especially when you have managers on duty or supervisors. How is that remote? I'm
yeah,
like, oh my God. So, but like you said, with a little tweaking, there's got to be ways to dial that in and only have it come to those certain zones. I mean, that's where LinkedIn even has its own AI, if you want to imagine, because you got to click everything, what you're
yeah,
looking for, what you want. It rejects for you. So I have to figure that one out. And like, I know that's one part that your software does. It'll grade them, right? So it's kind of
yeah,
the same thing.
it is. Well, I mean, it definitely makes life incredibly. And see, we go in and we figure out, like, you can even go in using our technology, and you can find somebody, like, let's say somebody in your organization does the job and they're
Right.
fantastic at it. So you can take all of their information and put it as kind of like what your dream person would
So
have.
that's within the company.
Yeah. Yeah, you
Within the
can take
company, that's what this. That's okay.
well, it's measuring it up against your candidates.
Okay.
So,
Against
like,
him.
somebody
Right.
that, works in your company, and you're like, "Hey, this person's fantastic. I wanna take their resume, and I want this person, whoever we're hiring, to have the same attributes as, Dave, who works in accounting." You
Right.
know? So, um, which is a really cool thing to be able to do.
Yep. Culture is everything. It's more frustrating when company come in a real low ball you with an offer, even though you have the experience. And to that, Rob, I agree. I think it comes down to, again, it comes down to culture. I know what he's saying. Culture is everything.
Mhm.
If you got to do your research on the company.
Absolutely.
I saw a great company today. They were out handling things for children with some kind of cancer event. It was Blue Triton, I think, one of them. And I saw it all over LinkedIn. I was like, wow, it had nothing to do with recruiting.
Yeah.
So it's nice when companies do things like that, because it shows you that they care more than that. I think what he's saying here, it's frustrating when they real lowball you with an offer. I'm not sure if that means there's a lot of candidates for that position or what, because that could be either way. You could have a lot and you only have a certain amount of a salary that they're going to go for.
Yeah.
So I agree what he's saying there.
Yeah, that's tough. Well, I mean, I think being really transparent, and it's really interesting. Like, you'll see companies that actually post, like, their salary. I think people are looking more towards that. I think,
Do you
especially
agree?
people.
Do you agree? Is it a good thing or not to put the salary on? Everybody gets asked it. Do you agree with putting a minimal and a maximum?
You know, I like it because I feel like that's being really transparent about, you know, what they're able to offer. And
Right.
it gives you an idea, and it really kind of is a good jumping off point.
Right.
I'm not saying that salary is everything, but it is good to know going into it, because,
Yeah.
you know, you don't want to get too far. Sometimes uh, it should, yeah, but it should be. I agree. It should be negotiable. But if you have an idea going into it, you can kind of narrow down, especially if you're somebody who's maybe later in your career,
Right.
also. Um, but maybe the position is really enticing to you, and it's not something that you would have normally, put in for, and you're like, well, maybe that's doable. So
Right.
you just know. I think that's a great thing.
I do. I believe in it. At least a minimal, kind of like a minimal max in a way. It doesn't really have to go max. I don't know, but a starting point.
Yeah.
and to be able to negotiate. I know I've seen like LinkedIn, a couple other, I know Indeed, some will put on there the actual data of that job in that area, what it
Hmm.
should be paying, a median pay or, a higher pay rate, what it actually does or where you should be. And it'll grade you and kind of like, wow, you're really low, high,
Yeah.
but when you put that job up there without the salary, and so many applicants will come through asking that question.
Yeah.
First question,
Absolutely.
and you spend all your time. What is the salary? Oh boy, here we go. I'm going to lose them. I'm going to lose
Yeah.
them because they say, "Oh, I don't want to work for that much," and I get it. So it's kind of a waste of a time.
Yeah. I agree. And that kind of is a great, um, it kind of helps weed out some of that in the very
Yeah,
beginning. So,
especially with education, everybody
oh,
you see on LinkedIn. Well, I know you see on LinkedIn. Well, associates, a bachelor's, a master's, and the pay rates. And I don't know what to say to all that. I really don't when it comes to education, because here we are saying hire people, right? You want to retain them. So you want to try to find people
yeah.
that fit the job. They might not be 100% already there, but they might not have that higher education. So what do you do?
You
What do you
know,
do?
I think that's where, last time we talked a little bit about upskilling and about offering your employees the opportunities to get we talked a little bit about gigs, and we talked
Right,
about career pathing. And so that's one of the things that I really liked about my company is that they give you this like really clear path, and there's
or
opportunities for you to um, take courses
right,
and kind of work towards something. So you may not start with those skills, but that doesn't mean that you still can't get there. I
right,
just think that I really feel like if companies are really smart
right.
about, especially right now, I mean, think about everything that's happening economically right now. It's so important at this
Yep.
point to hold on to your employees. And you and I talked about that before
Yeah,
we even
numerous.
came on here about how people are just jumping ship left and right.
Yep.
Um, and I really feel like a lot of that can be avoided if you're investing in your employees and
Yes.
engaging them
Engage
in
them.
meaningful ways. And by meaningful, I don't mean a jeans pass,
No, no,
as
I get it.
my fellow teachers will feel me
Yeah,
on that. I mean in ways that show that you believe in their future.
right.
Let's say I want to go into customer success, but I don't really have any experience in customer success. I have
Right.
sales, but I want to work towards that. Well, in order to work towards that, here are some courses that you can take to help make you a better candidate for those jobs. And that's
Well,
all within our employee portal.
and that makes totally sense. And when I see Bill's name come up, Bill's been in sales for a long time, but into the trades. So like from he knows from people like plumbing, electrical, all kinds of the trade schools that you can go to. So on his, I look at his trade schools. Okay,
Yeah.
you're only at a certain level,
Yeah.
so you're not going to be making like a plumber, starting out assistants. You're only going to make so much. So the scales a little bit because you have to learn each
Yes.
step. And then you could sit
Absolutely.
back and say, wow, I'm going to make that $42 an hour as a plumber or 50. You know what I mean? You're
But
only,
those companies also invest in their employees, because
that's
I
what I
can tell
mean.
you,
Totally different.
like, I
Hmm.
have friends that own a plumbing company, and they will take on apprentice, like kids out of high
Yes.
school, and they'll take on apprentice, and they'll teach them the trade so that they can work into those bigger positions.
That's what I
Why are
mean.
we not doing that with our employees, whether it be at, you know, Dunkin' Donuts, or whether it's at McDonald's, or anywhere. Why are we not doing that for our employees? And we can make it accessible
Oh,
to
yeah.
everyone by putting it online and letting them do that in their own time. Not saying you
No.
have to take this course. It's, hey, I choose to take this course.
Right. And
And
I
I
think it shows
have
what kind of person you are. You want to learn. You really want to learn. And to retain employees, Joel said you must pour into them Find out what their needs are. People expect two things to happen at work. They expect to be paid and told what to do. Clearly, they also want to be heard and have their needs met. Agree
Absolutely.
1000% with that.
And if you think about it, I mean, look at if you're on LinkedIn for any period of time, you'll see teachers
Yep.
talking about the struggles, and I am a product of that you know of this change. This I mean, I took a huge risk and went out
Right.
there and changed what I was doing, but it's because I wanted to be heard. I wanted to feel like I was important and that people were
Yep.
listening to me and that they cared
Yep.
about my journey. And I'm somewhere now where I feel like I'm valued and they care about my journey.
And
They
that night,
want they want to they want to support me. They want to see me move to the next thing.
and that's
And
a great way to look at it, especially, and people look for that. I look for it. I
absolutely.
think anybody does. I think everybody. Rob says, distance travel every day, plus the cost of living. Also, some of these salaries you would put back a 1/3 of your paycheck to travel back and forth, and then it
Yes.
becomes a real struggle. I agree. Again, Rob, that is true, and that's
Yeah.
where, wow, to retain employees like that, how do you keep an employee that has to travel like Rob does that far? What do you do? Because if they're looking, when they want to leave, they're going to be like, wow, I found a job 15 minutes from my house. I mean,
Yeah.
same pay, same pay.
Yeah. And I think part of that is you can't those are the kind of situations that you can't fault them for. I mean,
No, no.
they have to do those things.
Yeah.
But I think yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, definitely. I'm in the wrong
Yeah.
business.
See, I told you. See, they'll be talking to each other on the UC over there. They just talk to each other all night long, and then they'll pop in. But even Kennedy, yes, that's the minimum. I knew they'd
Yeah.
start now like $40 to $40 an hour because I know when you call
Yeah.
around here, but 50 to 60. But
Absolutely.
oh, here we go.
Just get a Tesla. It's fine. Just get a Tesla. It's fine.
Just get a
They're all
Tesla.
yeah, all of your problems are fixed. Just
But
get a Tesla.
but in all seriousness, that's the kind of stuff that you got to do to retain the
Yes.
employees. 'Cause
Absolutely.
I
And
would leave.
in
I would leave.
I mean, in this market, you have to be paying attention to those things. You have to be
Yeah.
engaging your employees. And you can do that in meaningful ways. You can
Yep.
automate those things so that you're not putting more onto your employees that are
Yes.
there already. I think that's the big thing too. You don't want to continue to say, take care of yourself, but here, do one more thing.
One
That's
more
not
thing.
what we want. But by automating it, by creating like this employee portal where you can and I was telling you about the never lunch alone, which is something new that
Well,
we're
you
trying
all
out.
right. Kenny, I want you to listen to Christian about having lunch with anybody within the world. So go ahead, Christian. Kenny, pay
Okay,
attention now.
this is so great. So here at Phenom, it's called Never Lunch Alone. We're just trying it out. I can go into my employee portal and I can pick, do I want to do coffee? Do I want to do drinks? Do I want to
Okay.
do lunch? And then I can put in like what my interests are. Like I'm a huge baseball fan. Like I'm a baseball fanatic. So I could find somebody that maybe they'll match us up and they'll give us some suggestions like, hey, so and so in the Netherlands loves, sports too. Why don't y'all
Yeah.
have and they want to have lunch also. So it connects you with people that have the same interests as you using
Yeah.
AI technology. And I could have drinks with somebody in India. Like
See, there you go,
what
Kenny.
what a great way, especially for so many people that are working remotely. What a great way to connect your employees
Never heard of
together.
that. Never
Isn't
heard
it?
of it. And I think it's a great friggin' idea. I love it.
It's brilliant. It really is. I'm so excited to do it. Like I can't
Yeah, so you
wait.
take 30 minutes and you get to meet somebody within a company in a different state,
Yeah.
country, get to talk to them and just to join in. I think that would be there you go. You got a half hour of the day that's accountable for your CEOs to say, well, no, Christian's having lunch with somebody, you
I
know.
mean, it builds community. And I
Yep.
mean, what an exciting way for you to connect with people that you wouldn't otherwise get to see. Even if I was in in an office building, like I
Right.
couldn't have lunch with somebody in India, obviously, but I can now. So,
I
I
love it.
mean, what a great way to connect your employees worldwide.
All right. Well, Bill was asking Kenny a question. So, Kenny, a journeyman is a union person that has gone through 5 years of training for electrical, sheet metal, or pipe trades. Okay, so there you go, Kenny. There's one of Kenny's questions. Again, they'll
Good
talk back and
question.
forth to each other.
I
Um,
like it. I like curious
no,
people.
but I tell you again, I want to thank you so much. I think, oh, here we go. Bill, Brett. See, I don't think Kenny even listened to what we were saying, so I'll give him a minute here to respond. But again, what a great show! It's a show about what you do. I love what you do there. The software again, SDR Phenom, Phenom.
Yep, phenom.
Yes, Phenom. So they can reach out to you and see what and talk more about that. We
Always.
talked about AI. I think AI is just. I'm sorry. I'll take some flack for it. It's the way to go. As much as I didn't like it in the beginning, really didn't. But when I go on with those little bots, I purposely don't finish it all because I know they're going to get a hold of me tomorrow.
I love it.
It is.
Yes.
I'll check to insurance. I'll check in something, talk to the bot for a minute, just cross out, and then I'll get an email or a call tomorrow, just like that.
Yeah.
Uh,
But
and that's a candidate.
it's changing everything. But I mean, we're doing what Netflix did, we're doing what
Yeah.
Amazon did, we're doing, all of that. Why are we
Yep.
not doing that for the talent experience?
Hey, if you can get Bill to change, you can get Bill to change to go into the new ways. Bill's old
Come
school
on,
and new
Bill.
school,
Come
and
with
he'll
us.
go.
Come on.
No, thanks again, Christian. I'm hoping you'll come back Sunday night and we'll do another show. Again, I didn't even get to use my pages again that I took my notes, as you can see, and I didn't even get to use two of them tonight. So, and we talked 36 minutes. So, but I want to thank you again for coming on and
Of
everybody tonight. There was a lot
course.
of people. There was
Of
Bill
course.
and Kenny and God, we had a lot of them, Rob and Joel and a bunch of these guys, Jason. So, on that note, again, one more shout out what you do, Christian. I really want people to hear that.
Awesome. Thank you so much again for having me, Dave. It's always fun to sit here and talk talent with you.
I
Here
love
at
it.
Phenom, we are a intelligent talent experience. We go all the way from recruit and hire to retire. So, and everything in
All right.
between. And so we are a holistic approach to HR technology, and we partner with your ATS and just make it smarter, make it more efficient for your recruiters and for your managers.
You get a
And
7-day trial.
it's a little more complicated than that.
I figured that. Yeah, it's not going to be no 14-day trial, but
But if anybody has questions, they're always more than welcome to reach out to me. So,
awesome. I love it. So, on that note, Dallas did win, right? Dallas won. So, you're good on there. And the Eagles and Pittsburgh lost on this coast. So,
oh,
I know. I know. It's football season, and that's what everybody's been doing on a Sunday. So,
well, my family is a Packers family. Sorry, we're
they- they're doing good. Did they win tonight? I don't even know if they won. The game's
I
still
don't know.
probably
I
on.
haven't. It's probably still
It's
going.
still on. So, all right, Christian, I want to thank everybody, and we will be back, and I'll talk to you right after this. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you guys.